everyone, you can see today that I'm going to be doing something slightly different, and I know a lot of my videos so far have all been geared towards sort of more semi-competitive or competitive play with my Vanquish Soul deck. So you may be wondering, as a Yu-Gi-Oh beginner, how you go from 0 to having a deck box like this. You know, I was just sort of on Yu-Gi-Oh Reddit, and I realised there weren't actually like a lot of videos geared towards helping new players start, because we all have to start somewhere. So I figured that it would be a good time to make sort of a series of videos that are a little bit more beginner friendly, because I think Yu-Gi-Oh is a complicated game, and the resources out there are great. So without any further waffle, I will just get into it. So today we're going to be talking about what even is a game of Yu-Gi-Oh. So the aim of the game is to essentially reduce your opponent's life points from 8,000 down to 0. You both start off with 8,000 points, life points each at the start of the round, and you essentially need to summon monsters onto the field. As you can see, I have the field in front of me, and attack each other to chip that life point down. There are also other win conditions. You will have heard of things like Exodia, but they're a little bit more niche, so let's just talk about conventional win condition, which is reducing your opponent's life points down to 0. So it's 45 minutes for a best of 3 games in a tournament setting. Usually, to start off the game, you roll a pair of die, 2 6-sided, and see who goes first. You call high roll, so whoever rolls the highest number will pick who goes first. Whoever loses the match then gets to pick if they want to go first or second, and it keeps going until you get best of 3. So the whole point is, like I said, summoning monsters which have attack and defense stats to achieve this aim of chipping down your opponent's life points to 0 from 8,000. So you can see here that I've got a selection of cards in my hand. So we have something called the main deck, and that's where most of your monsters will be. Let's put that for now. So you can see I've got a variety for you. So we've got a what we call a normal non-effect monster. So if you look carefully at this card, you can see this is the name of the card. Let's ignore some of these things just for now. Let's just focus on the card itself. You can see it has what we call like just a plain yellow kind of background, whereas if you compare it with this, you see it's more brown. So this is what the community call like vanilla cards. So these are non-effect monsters, and you can see here in its description, like, this human-shaped animal with wings is beautiful to watch, but deadly in battle. That literally does nothing. It's just what we call flavor text. It's just a bit of fun. All this is a monster with just attack. You can see ATK 1,300 and defense stats 1,400. That's all it is. So this is your bog standard non-effect normal monster. Okay, so that's one type of card. You can see this is another type of card, and you see that immediately the difference is that the border is a different colour, so it's this sort of tan brown colour, and it has a lot more text. Now you can see this isn't just for fun text, this is an effect monster, so it tells you what you can do. So you have to discard a harpy card, and if you successfully meet that condition, you can then go on to do other stuff and get more monsters from elsewhere, and that's how you build a board. Okay, so this is an effect monster. So to summarise, non-effect monster, so normal, vanilla monster, and then this is an effect monster. So a lot more text on this one, and you can see the background colour is different. Okay, so now you remember that I said to ignore the levels. Let's look at the levels now. So you can see here that at the top, just underneath the name of the card, this is called Harpy Lady Sisters, there are a couple of stars. So this one has 6 stars. So this is what we call a level 6 monster. Now this is going to be important when we talk about how to summon things out. So you can see here that this card has 4 stars, so this is a level 4 monster, as is this as well. So you can essentially call this a level 4 non-effect monster, and this is a level 4 effect monster. So using that logic, I guess, what would this one be? So you can see here, it doesn't really have an effect as such, but you can see that its border it's not this yellow colour, so it's essentially an effect monster as well, and it has a stipulation as well that you have to special summon it with a spell card. So we'll talk about spell cards in a bit, but let's just finish off the levels, and you can see this is an even higher level monster. This has 7 stars, as denoted by the stars there. Cool. So I was talking about spell cards, so this is a spell card, and you see it's drastically different. It's green for starters, and it also says spell card right at the top. So yeah, so that's a spell card, and they can sort of give you additional sort of advantage on the board. And then there's also another type of card called a trap card. Now you can tell by reading because it says trap card, but it's also purple, so that tells you immediately that it's also a trap card as well. And then I just wanted to mention that you obviously play with a deck of cards that you construct. The minimum number of cards in your deck is 40, and the maximum number of cards in your main deck is 60. All of these cards that I've shown you here are types of cards that can be in your main deck. This is what your main deck will be constructed with, like an appropriate ratio of each of these. There's no stipulation as to like how many green cards, like spell cards you need, how many trap cards. That is all entirely down to you and the deck that you are playing. There's just one more card small print that I want to show you, because this is the last type of card that you may find in your main deck. This is blue, you can see, and this is called a ritual monster, and you can tell because of that particular shade of blue. Now this kind of monster is also a monster, so it's the same as these are all monsters, okay? But ritual cards, ritual monsters have a more specific summoning conditions, and we won't touch on that for now. I just wanted to mention this is another type of card you may find in your main deck. So all I want you to remember right now is that you get non-effect monsters, effect monsters of varying levels, spell cards and trap cards in your main deck. That's it. Cool. So those are the basics you need to know. And when it comes to making your deck, you just have to be aware that you are only allowed to have a maximum of 3 of any single card in your deck. So you can have 3 of this, you can have 3 of this, you can have 3 of this if you so wish to do so. The one thing I would warn you about is that Yu-Gi-Oh have what we call the ban list, and that changes every couple of months. And it stipulates that some cards are either forbidden, which means you can't have any in your deck at all if you want to play in a official tournament, or cards may be limited, which means you can only have 1 copy, or cards may be semi-limited, which means you can have 2 copies, or they may just be unlimited, meaning you're allowed 3. So 3 is standard unless the ban list says otherwise. So cool, so that's it for this video. In the next one I will be talking about how to summon a monster, and how some of the things I've talked about in this video apply. So see you there.